So she says she wish she could figure out how because she's so unregulated. So she's looking to regulate her emotions. So the answer is actually inside of the phrase, which is emotional intelligence, meaning your intelligence is what's going to control your emotions. Your thoughts have to outweigh your actions. What we don't control controls us. So in life, self-control is key. Learning to control what you do and how you do it is where all your personal power lies. There's a reason we have a heart and a brain. The heart is for the emotions and your brain is for the intellect. And either your emotions are going to outweigh your intellect or your intellect will outweigh your emotions. And it's definitely easier said than done for your intellect to outweigh your emotions because of how powerful they can be, especially in their spawning moments, which is the exact time that they actually manifest, which is why people tell you that you shouldn't respond to things when you're mad. Give it time, because over time, the emotion of anger will actually subside and you'll be able to think clearer. So that way you won't have to deal with the aftermath of any actions that you may have caused being reactive. So emotional intelligence is actually learning to be proactive instead of reactive. When you're reactive, you actually are thinking like a baby because babies are reactive. When you pay attention, as a baby begins to teeth, it'll pick up anything and put it in his mouth, not thinking about it, but just doing it. That's a reaction. It doesn't matter if it's glass or a teething toy because at the end of the day, their brains haven't developed far enough for their intellect to actually kick in. All they know is do, go, go, go. The what, why, and how hasn't kicked in yet. Consequences of their actions haven't kicked in yet. I believe there's a scripture that goes, when I was a child, I did childish things, and when I became an adult, I put away childish things. And I don't believe adulthood is an age, I believe it's a maturity. And eventually we get to a point where we have to learn to outwit our emotions. Because if we ran around, if I ran around smacking the shit out of everybody that pissed me off, I'd end up in jail somewhere. I'd lose my freedom. Somebody running their mouth and pissing me off, trying to disrespect me, and I go about it by physically smacking the shit out of them, and I end up locked up somewhere. The only person that's going to be the loser in this situation is me. I may have won because I got to smack their ass, but I'm going to reap the consequences of that, which is going to suck in the end, and it'll leave me actually in a worse place than had I just let it go. Everything in life don't deserve a reaction. I put up a post about this before, and if I could find it, I'll share it, but you can look back on my page and you can find it. Somebody telling me that actually changed my life, because personally, I used to be unregulated too, and I just went with reaction, and people got what was coming to them based on how I was feeling. But in the end, I actually lost more than I gained. I can also tell you that it took practice. It didn't happen overnight. This happened over time. Now I can truly be so unbothered that it would literally take life or death situations in order for me to react in certain ways. Otherwise, I do what they say, I turn the cheek. Because sometimes you need to realize just because you can do something doesn't mean that you should do it. When you learn to love yourself, you'll learn to stop hurting yourself. You don't always have to get the last word. You don't always have to get the last lick. You don't always have to respond. And to be honest, at the end of the day, sometimes no response is a response. And most of the time, it's actually the response you need to practice because it's the most beneficial to you. But here are actually a few solutions or things you can incorporate into your life now to begin practicing on becoming emotionally